Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Great. How are you? I'm going to make this a little taller. The top of my head isn't
Good.
cut off.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like just like with Dan, this is like the first time I've ever actually seen you face to face, like
That's true.
digitally.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
So fun.
Yeah.
Hi,
Right.
Natalie. Hi, Dan. Hi, Molly. And all my friends at Grand and Essex. This is so fun. Yeah, guys.
So awesome. So we have like 6 people. We're at 9. So okay, that's good. We can wait a little bit to start.
Sure.
I'm just gonna go off camera for a second. I'm gonna start recording
Okay.
on my computer. So give me a second.
Hi, Tamima. Huge shout out in the meantime to my Misora friends, all the campers and staff, and huge shout out to my Ano, to all the teachers and the students, and huge shout out to Grands and Essex, my family that works there, and all the customers. Just giving shout outs to all my peeps and my followers here.
That's amazing. Yeah, we have a nice amount of people already on. Hold on. Okay. So I think we can wait a minute or so. How is it by you guys? Sunday? Are you guys doing anything special?
Yes, my husband took most of my kids to visit their grandparents, social distance, to bring them. Before Pesach, I brought beautiful flowers for Yantiv, but for Shavuot, I sent plants. I bought beautiful, flowering plants. So they were going to deliver that, and my kids drew Shavuot pictures, and I sent some food, and so just for my mother-in-law and my parents.
That's so
they
nice.
Both live in Highland Park, near each other.
That's nice. I don't know if my mom's on, but she lives in New Jersey, and I'm in Israel, so we can't even do that. But that's so nice that they live so close.
Yeah,
so
it's about an hour drive, but we go often, thank God.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so do you think we should get started? It's like
sure.
We have 8 people on. Okay, so a little bit about Veg It Out. I started Veg It Out actually 6 months ago. I left my job in high tech, and I wanted to do something that, hopefully would change the world. And I believe that plant-based lifestyle is something that's happening now, and it's growing and it's building. And I think that there's something really interesting in looking at the way we eat and the kinds of foods we're putting into our body and how food affects the environment and things with animals and stuff like that. So that was a big part of my reasons for starting Veg It Out. Also, I'm obsessed with food. I always have been. And since, starting to cook more plant-based, I've actually found that my food is much, much tastier and much, much more interesting. And I'm experimenting all the time. So this is part of, sharing my journey and all the cool things that I've found. So I'd love to hear, Gila, we spoke a little bit, but I'd love for you to share with my viewers and your viewers, what's your background? What are,
Sure. First, I just want to comment. I think it's so cool what you're doing. And in such a short time, I want to say you've really had such a huge reach on Facebook. I love your Facebook group. If you guys don't follow Bela on Facebook, it's Veg It Out. Excellent, very interactive group from a plant-based perspective. I highly recommend it. And of course, here on Facebook too. Okay, so about me. I went to college and then law school, and I worked as an attorney, loved it. But after I had my children, I realized that I truly had no idea how to feed them in a way that, forget balanced and healthy, those words weren't even part of my vocabulary at the time. I just knew that frozen food, fish sticks, pizza, frozen nuggets, I just knew that wasn't right, or right for me because of my lifelong battle with weight and with emotional eating. I just wanted something different for my kids. I just wanted it to be easier for them. And so I started doing research in 2013, and the research that led me to reading a lot about Dr. Mark Hyman and intuitive eating. And I started learning that you can feed your family in a healthy way, feed yourself in a healthy way. That doesn't involve restricting. That doesn't involve counting numbers. Numbers used to make me go crazy in my head. And I just started sharing, on Facebook. I wasn't on Instagram at the time. And people asked me for help, so I helped them. And after about a year, my husband said, so are you going to go back to work as a lawyer? Is this a new career? And I said, no, I don't feel comfortable charging anyone unless I went back to school. So I did. In
Wow.
2014, I went back to school to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And since then, I basically help busy families change their relationship with food, learn how to cook healthy food for their families without being in the kitchen all day. No one has time for that. I too, like Bela, love good food, and I will not compromise taste for health. It is very possible to prepare healthy food that's also magnificent and delicious. And we're going to show you today a cheesecake. So I teach Maya No at high school, and I teach the girls nutrition concepts as well as cooking, and I work at Brands in Essex, and I'm so excited to have my own line of takeout food there, and I'm the in-house nutritional consultant there, and you guys can, you know, meet with me virtually now. I work at Misora. Please God, that should happen this summer. And I'm thrilled to be here with Bela, so thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so great. And it's so crazy. Like when I was in Maya Note, I mean, I just told you that, like when I saw you post it, I was like, by the way, I'm a graduate of 2008. We didn't have anything like this. We didn't have someone working in-house. We actually had a nutritionist come in and speak to us once. And I think that was probably the biggest impact that I had on my health. Really, like I didn't struggle with weight, but I definitely wasn't a healthy eater. Like I ate salads and things like that, but I didn't know what healthy meant. Like I thought, whole wheat and 0% yogurt was healthy. But she had spoken about things about if you're going to have orange juice, like if you think you're going to have orange juice and that's going to be good for you, you're going to have vitamin C, like just have an orange. The whole fruit is much better, and things versus about butter and like different fats. And like, there were just so many stuff that stuck with me that I think from there, it was sort of like, I learned more, and I have a lot of background, but I think what you're doing for high school students is so important. And, I really wish we had more back then. So that's really, really incredible.
Yeah, honestly, that's how I base my curriculum. Things that I wish I learned when I was in high school, that's what I'm teaching my students. And in my private practice, we do the same. I help my clients figure out these challenges, because if you're not taught it, and honestly, it's amazing to me that one class had such an impact on you and you remember so much 12 years later. That's phenomenal. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It really, really is. So, call it to you, and call it to my notes to like realize that it's really important to have something like that.
Yes.
Okay. So a little bit of like why we're doing this together and a little bit of background. So last week I did a cooking class with Dan Schumann on mushrooms, and Gila reached out to me afterwards and was like, great job. That was so cool. And I was like, oh my God, I know you. I don't know if I told you that when you spoke on the phone, but my sister-in-law is from like the Five Towns area, and she's a dietitian, and she's spoken about you, like from a business perspective, like what you did, and like, approved, what is it? Coach Aguila approved on the like different food packagings and things like that. Like I remember hearing about that, and then you reached out to me and I was like, is that her? And I looked you up, and I was like, we have to do something together. So, Shavuot was coming up, and I really wanted to do a vegan cheesecake. So, I asked you, would you be into that? And you actually were pretty excited about doing that, right?
Yes. Okay, so on my Instagram and on Facebook, I'm usually the one sharing the recipe and teaching everybody all my creative ways to cook and to feed your families. In this particular case, it's Bela who's going to be teaching me how to make this cheesecake. So I don't really bake all that much, to be very honest. I have 3 teenage daughters, and they have taken over the baking in my home. So I make sure we have, I know, I am lucky, thank God. I make sure that I have the right ingredients that they might need, healthier, better for you coconut sugar instead of white sugar, things like that. And then they run with it. They make muffins and cookies and cakes and whatever. So I have been relieved of that duty, and I am excited to now learn how to make this cheesecake with you.
Yeah, totally. So I've actually, like I wrote in one of my posts, I've tried a bunch of vegan cheesecakes in the past, and in the end of the day, there is like sort of a science to it. That's why I hate baking. I got really into the raw like types of vegan like desserts and things like that, because there isn't a science to them. The cheesecake happens to have, I wouldn't say a science in the way like a cake does, but there is a way to do it so it comes out well. So I've tried a bunch before, they haven't come out, and then right before, the week before leading up to this cooking class, I was like, I need to find one, and I need to tell everyone, because like I know it's really good. I've tasted other people. So I actually tried a bunch of different recipes, and I came out with this one. We're basing it on a recipe we can share later, the full recipe. But basically, it's really, really simple. And it really does taste like cheesecake, which I found really cool. It's at least been tested by my family, who, you know, always makes fun of me for being obsessed with cashews. Like, I put cashews in everything. And if there's coconut, like my older son's like, why do you put coconut in this? There's coconut in this, and there's cashews, and they still loved it. So I'm pretty confident that this will be a winner for anyone. So we're actually going to start with the base. Gila, you had said that you had done the crust already?
Yes. Okay. So all I did was mix the base together. So I'll wait for you to show them, and then we'll press it in. The only other thing I did was, I've never used a spring form before, and yes, I just admitted that publicly. The only reason why I have one, I'm a truth teller, I'm very honest. The only reason why I even have one is because before Pesach, when I went to visit my mother, she handed me a bag of baking trays, I guess it's called. I don't even know what this is. Yeah. And she said, in case you want to bake, here's this. So I said, okay, and I never looked at it, but I just took it out about 2 hours ago, and I actually did like a water test. I don't know if you're supposed to, but a little bit it leaked. So I just lined it all the way. Yeah, whatever. It's probably 50 years old, so we're going with it.
So I actually have this one also. Like, it's not 50 years old, but it's probably maybe the similar type of quality. For whatever reason, like, mine also leaks. What's good about this cake that we're gonna do, the cheesecake, is that the crust covers up the cracks. So there's no leakage, and also the batter is pretty thick. But I've done cakes in here before where like again, I'm not a baker, but I'm like, I'm gonna do a cake, it's gonna be great, and like this is the reason why I don't bake. So I'd put the batter in, and like everything would just leak out into the oven, and I'm like, I'm never baking again. So no worries with this. And like you said, right, you're also using like a glass, you have a glass circular.
Yeah, if you want to. I put it away. I wasn't sure if this is the right size, but if somebody does not have a spring form pan, do not worry. Oh, it's right over there. I can get it. You can use any round glass dish that's 8 or 9 inches, 8 by 8. So I'll show you the one I was going to use. So any type of pie dish, pie plate with the sides would work fine if you don't have a spring form, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. I just like the spring foam, I don't know what it's called, cooking spring foam thing, because it gives like a nice, like, smooth edge to the cake. So for the crust, we're gonna do dates and nuts. You can also do coconut inside. It's like sort of like a powdered coconut, not coconut flour. I actually leave that out because, again, my kids don't love the taste of coconut. So again, I think this is really like, you can really do different things. So the nuts that I'm using inside are pecans, walnuts, and almonds, again, because I love those kinds of nuts. Gila, are you using similar ones?
Yeah, I actually did include 1 cup of coconut flakes, and I did a mix of walnuts and a few other things. I just added whatever I had so that it equaled the right amount, and the medjool dates, and then the coconut, because I like coconut.
Okay, yeah, I love coconut also. If it was just for me, I totally would put it in. So what we're gonna do is, I already processed the dates, but if you're at home doing that with us, I would process them before, because I like when the nuts come out really like ground up. I like them pretty fine. So I actually put the nuts in here. So I'm going to show you, it's going to get a little noisy, but we decided we're going to do the blending so you can see what it looks like. So I'm just going to, this is just a regular Philips, food processor, nothing fancy, really inexpensive. So if you just have, a plain food processor at home, totally can do this. And meanwhile, I see, Gila, you're starting to do the crust. So
yeah,
it's going to get loud. I apologize, Gila.
That's okay.
But yeah, okay, so we're just gonna blend it. So this is not fine yet. I'm gonna go in again a little bit, but just so you can see, this is still a little bit too big pieces. I really like them fine, so it comes into like a nice, crust. We're very used to, in cheesecake, to have a graham cracker crust. I don't know, that's what I grew up with. Gila, is that what you had also?
Yes, definitely, same.
So this is a nice, this mimics it. What's nice is that it's all natural. It's nuts and dates. There's no added sweeteners, no other things. So I really love the idea. on it.
Everybody.
I'm going to do a little bit more. Okay, so this is pretty fine. For you, Gila, is this about how you got it as well, or you were able to get
Yes,
fun
yeah.
from
So
that?
I followed your advice. First, I processed the nuts, and then I added the dates and the coconut, and it blended really well without any difficulty. It was actually amazing.
Yeah, I mean, other recipes I've seen, they've actually done the almond, the like nuts and the dates together, but then it's like, it takes a lot of work, and then many times the nuts don't get fine enough. And again, like, I really like a nice crust where it's mostly nuts and you don't really feel the dates. I look at the dates as more of like something to, you know, bind everything together. So now I'm gonna take the dates that I had already processed, and I'm gonna again run the food processor. I'm going to just sort of push this in and break it up a little bit just to get it down in with the nuts so it doesn't start clumping, because that's also something that happens. So I push it in. I'm going to run it again, guys. Sorry about the noise. And so one thing about this is you're going to start, and when you start doing it, like, it's not really going to stick together yet. In the past, when I've done this kind of crust, or when I've done even date balls, I've actually like, I do it for a little bit, I process it for a little bit, and I see that it's not really, you know, sticking together. And then I add more dates, but then it becomes very datey, which is fine. People like dates, but actually I read in one place, if you keep running it, it's going to eventually bind together, and you'll have more of the nuts, and the dates will be like less prominent. So I'm going to run it a bit more. Okay, so now we're gonna see this, if I can like, right? So this is like, it's sticking together. You see, it's not, again, we wouldn't, you know, form balls out of this. It's still like piecey, but we see when we push our fingers together, it's holding together. So this is gonna make a nice crust. And again, to clarify, this is not going to be baked, right? So this is a completely, you know, raw. I'm not a raw vegan person, which I think, you know, many people are, and that's awesome. But this happens to be a completely raw cake, which is also nice because, you know, in terms of like time and everything, you know, all you have to do is, you know, put all the ingredients together and put it, you know, in the freezer, and it's ready. So that's what I really like about this. So I'm going to start sticking this in. I'm going to tilt my camera down so you can also see. Gila, you had done your crust already, right?
Yeah, I did the crust, and then what I did was, because you said that the crust will seal that crack, I took a scissor and I removed my parchment paper so that the cheese level will be beautiful and smooth.
Amazing. Yeah. Like after doing it once or twice, I think then you can understand like what you like and whatever. But I like for sure a, you know, layer of crust and then a layer of cheesecake. But I've definitely seen people do the same way in regular cheesecake. I've definitely seen people do like more of like a pie type. So where you can stick the crust to the sides and make like sort of a level. That's also nice, and I think that's also great. I was thinking about using like one of my pie dishes that I have, which would give nice ridges to it as well. Like that's another look. Again, I think, yeah, sorry.
I was going to say that I love that it's so flexible, especially now with quarantine and, you know, certain stores closed. I love recipes when people share recipes during this time that it's literally use what you have at home and don't worry, like just use whatever you have and it's all going to be good.
Right, for sure. And I think like we'll see also with the batter now for the cheesecake part that it's all really natural stuff. Like part of my requirements, like I guess I didn't really write it down, but in my head, my requirements for the perfect cheesecake was like all natural ingredients, you know, no white sugar. And when I say all natural ingredients, like I don't know about in America because I don't remember as a kid what we did for cheesecake. We might have always bought. I don't remember now. But in Israel, like the classic cheesecake uses this like vanilla pudding mix. I don't know if that's what you guys have as well.
I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I never made regular cheesecake. Never. I have bought it. I buy it. I bought it all the time, but I never made one.
Yeah, I think, yeah, my husband made with the kids last year, like all different cheesecakes, and like some of them had pudding, and like there's just a bunch of, junk in it. So I do like this one, and that, forget about being vegan, but also the fact that it's really just nuts and, a little bit, we're going to have a little bit of maple syrup in the actual batter. But like it's pretty all, not processed, which I love. That's like my favorite part of this. Okay, so I'm just wiping off my hands because they're sticky.
We got a comment. Debbie said that the pudding is actually very Israeli, the vanilla pudding. That's cool.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that either. Oh hey, Debbie, that's right, yeah. So yeah, I didn't know that either. I just knew like I think like my mother-in-law is Israeli. My husband's Israeli. He grew up here in Givat Shmuel where we live. And when I, met them and when we were dating, I would come over and his mother-in-law bakes a lot, like all the time. She's also very into healthy and she didn't want her kids to be eating out and like buying baked goods outside. So she baked everything, which is something I can't live up to at all. But one of the things when we were dating, I'd come over and she'd always have cheesecake. And this was before my vegan days. I was definitely lactose intolerant, like definitely. I knew it was going to affect me, but it was so good. And when we asked her for the recipe, like, yeah, it's that vanilla pudding that's inside, but it's so cool. I mean, it's amazing. It tastes so good. Okay.
There's another comment that suggested using Ceylon in the crust, and then you can skip processing the dates. That's cool.
Oh, that's nice. I think, yeah, who did that come from?
Avi Gans.
Avi Gans, yeah. Oh, I know Avi Gans. Hey, Avi.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I guess the reason why I actually like, when possible, to use dates and things. I use Ceylon a lot, like date honey I use a lot, but I like to use whole dates when possible because I think, again, this is what I've read. Maybe you know more about this. You for sure do. But anytime you sort of separate the sugars from a fruit and it doesn't have its fibers anymore, the way our body processes it is much more like regular sugar, right? White processed sugar is bad for sure. But anything like apple juice or even honey or whatever it is, when we use those as sweeteners, there's no longer the fibers from the fruit, and our body, processes it much quicker. So
yep,
I do
said that very well.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yes.
Coming from you, then perfect.
It was actually one of the questions on the midterm I gave about, and the correct answer was fiber, because the fiber slows down the digestion and it doesn't raise your blood sugar as quickly when you have the actual fiber and not just what, like you said, the date syrup, date sugar, whatever.
Right. So that sounded a lot better than I said it, but yeah, that's the slower metabolism. But like what I started doing also when I do like, let's say tomato sauce for stuffed cabbage. So you could do tomato sauce that's not sweet. I just grew up with tomato sauce that's a little bit sweet. I don't like adding sweet things, like any sweetener, into my cooking, but I just felt like for stuffed cabbage, I needed it. Like I really just wanted it. So I actually just threw in like 2 dates into the sauce. And it gave like also a nice texture when it was found. It's sort of like meaty when dates get cooked in, and it gave a nice sweetener. So that was cool.
That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the next thing is we have our batter. So I soaked these cashews overnight. You also did. Awesome. So I remember you did this last night.
Okay, so I didn't. So tell her I did not. Yeah, I only bought my cashews this morning. So Bayla taught me that if you don't have time to soak them overnight, that's okay. Tell everyone what you taught me. I listened to you.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, you could, and this is what I usually do, is you could just boil them in hot water for about, it depends on what you're doing it for. For this, I would do it for like a half an hour, a little bit more. And then just let them sit in it for a bit until they get like soft. They're actually kind of mushy, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've actually used these in other things like salads and stuff, like instead of having crunchy nuts or in stir fries. I actually usually do what you did, the hot water, like cooking it right before, because I never remember to prepare anything. But like before Shabbos is over, I know you're not supposed to talk about things after Shabbos, but like when we were having Shalosh, I was like, guys, I said to my kids, I'm like, guys, remind me to soak the cashews. So I actually did soak them, and you pre-boil them. A lot of my recipes, I have a recipe for cashew cream cheese. And I specifically came up with that recipe because it does not require any soaking or pre-boiling, because I hate getting more dishes dirty than I have to, and I hate more work than it has to. So it's literally just cashews in the blender and whatever. But for this,
Yeah.
we have to do that. So, okay. So you have a Vitamix, right?
Yes.
Which
I'm gonna
is
lower it.
yeah,
I have a high-speed blender here,
right.
so
And
it should go quickly.
right, exactly. So I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay.
But just for everyone at home, I do not have a Vitamix. How do you say it? We say it differently.
I say Vitamix, but
yeah,
I think it's Vitamix in America.
which makes sense because like vitamin, you know.
Yeah.
And here I think they say Vitamix. So, but they also say Nike instead of Nike. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Really confusing. And people will say like Nike, and like you're like, what are you talking about? Like, do you mean Nike? So anyway, so I do not have a Vitamix or Vitamix. I have a low powered one, and it still works, and it's still awesome. It just takes a little more time. So you're gonna go first.
Okay, so yes. Do I do just the cashews, or should I add all the ingredients first?
So I would add all the ingredients at once.
Okay. Okay. Got
but
it. Everything is all pre-measured. So
right.
I am going to just add, that was water, lemon juice.
So we did, right? You did 3 cups of cashews.
Yes.
And then,
I actually use my spoon scale because since I'm into the sourdough lately, I have it out on my counter. So I actually measured everything. This needs, yeah. This is the only thing that I didn't measure. The only other thing I did is I added a little bit less maple syrup than the recipe calls for.
yes.
Just because my family is used to less sweet and I wasn't sure. Hopefully I won't regret doing that. But whenever I follow a recipe exactly with the maple syrup or coconut sugar or whatever it is, my kids tell me it's too sweet. So I did use a little less. We'll see.
Yeah. I did it for Shabbat and we tasted the batter and my kids were like, oh my God, this is too sweet. Once we actually made it, they were like, this is great. Don't change anything. But I'm not going to tell them. And I'm totally going to like half the amount of maple syrup because it's pretty sweet. Like the cashews are sweet. The coconut oil is sweet. Like the dough itself is also sweet. So it's like the crust, right? There's dates inside.
Yes.
So I'm totally with you.
Okay, so I added cashews, water, lemon juice, maple syrup, and coconut oil. And oh no, one more thing, vanilla. Vanilla. Here's the vanilla.
So I actually, in mine, I left out vanilla. I think that's going to be an amazing addition. I think it's necessary. You did, what's it called? McCormick's? What's the American brand?
What was the question? The amount?
No, the vanilla. What's the brand? McCormick's?
Oh, I put it away. I'll go get it. I'll show you. It's actually a good one.
Because like there's this American brand, and I say American because in Israel, like there's this one supermarket that has it, and I really dislike the Israeli one. What's that?
This is what I like. It's organic. It's called Frontier something Co-op. I buy it at Whole Foods. It's KSA is the Hechsher. It says we're a member-owned co-op responsible to people and the planet. I like it. I've used this brand for different extracts, and it works.
That's amazing. So maybe you can send me in a package after this because I can't find vanilla that I like here. Or it's like 149 shekel, which is, I don't even know how much in dollars, but a lot. So, right. And by the way, someone just asked a question. Can you replace the maple syrup with Ceylon or brown rice syrup instead? So I would say from a color perspective, the Ceylon will make it turn brownish. The maple syrup doesn't do that. It's like diluted enough, but brown rice syrup. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I would just double check that it's low enough sugar. That was my first thought, is just make sure it's low enough for you. Also, what I would recommend for a very low sugar diet is instead of using 3/4 cup, which is what the recipe calls for, whatever you choose to use, only use 1/4 cup. Use 1/3. I know in my house, when I make, let's say, coleslaw, cucumber salad, salad dressings, if the original recipe calls for half a cup of sugar, when I first started feeding my family in a more in a healthier way about 10 years ago, I used half a cup of sugar, and then I used 1/4 cup of sugar, and now I use maybe a tablespoon or 2. So in my opinion, the options that you suggested, I think, you'd have to double check, are all, will raise your glycemic index, are all the same. I think they're going to be the same in terms of your blood sugar, but what I recommend doing is using much, much, much less. Of course, it won't be as sweet, but that's what I do in my family. So I personally did not use 3/4 of a cup. I use only about 1/4 of a cup of maple syrup. And I think it's going to be delicious. One little interesting tidbit that I'll throw in here, our taste buds are our cells that they change the most often in our body. So if you are used to a very sweet everything lifestyle, in 2 or 3 weeks, it's very possible to retrain yourself and your taste buds. So in terms of my family, I did it slowly. Like I said, if it's called for half a cup, I use a quarter. If it calls for a full cup, I use a half a cup, and then 1/4 of a cup, and then a few tablespoons. Right now, today, years later, I can make cucumber salad for my family without any sugar, and they will love it. I'll use some fresh squeezed lemon, maybe a pinch of garlic, salt and pepper, done. Or if I don't have fresh lemon, I'll use some apple cider vinegar. At this point, I don't even need sugar, and they're very, very happy. But of course, it took us time to get there.
Totally. It's funny because like my kids weren't used to like cucumber salad. It's something I grew up with, and I started making it later in their lives. So by the time I started making for them, I just made it for them without sugar, and it was pickles to them, and they were okay with that. But like, It was hard for me in the beginning. I'm like, this is not the real, I need white sugar. This is not the real cucumber salad. But for sure, it definitely takes time to get used to it. We started getting 100% chocolate bars, like I've been using in baking. And like when I first started getting for them, I would give myself and like one of my sons, we'd have like a square just to like taste what real chocolate tastes like without sugar. And then you realize like, oh my gosh, the chocolate that we're normally eating is not real chocolate. It's basically sugar with like chocolate flavoring. So it's really incredible what you're talking about. And like once you get used to not so much sugar, it really changes everything.
Yes, yes.
So nice. Okay, so
should I go ahead and blend?
Yeah, I mean, just quickly. So
sure.
Bonnie, she's my sister-in-law. So she says just like you. She's a dietitian, and she said sugar wise that they're all about the same. So just like what you said. Someone said had said, oh, I should try Simply Organic Vanilla. I'm sure that's awesome. I do not know if we get in Israel, but if anyone wants to send me any packages, that will be great. And Rena said that she uses Nelson Massey Madagascar bourbon vanilla. That sounds amazing, and she's going to bring it the next time she comes to Israel. Amazing. Okay, go for it.
I'm going to go ahead. Okay, it's supposed to be 100% creamy. It looks fantastic.
So it's creamy.
I'm going to do it another 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, you should definitely, when you open it up, like take it with your finger, taste it. Like if you feel any like graininess, then I would just keep going. I don't know if you're. Yeah.
First of all, it's delicious. I actually put my finger in there and tasted it. Hope my kids aren't watching because they would be like, why did you just do that? But I did taste it, and it tastes amazing. I am going to blend it another minute because it is a little bit grainy, and I want it completely smooth. So here goes. I'm going to do it again. Okay, I have to show you this. Look how creamy and gorgeous this is. Wowza.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
I need to get a Vitamix. Can we get like Vitamix to sponsor me or something?
I would love that. Look how gorgeous it looks.
Isn't it? It's amazing. You have to show it. Like, can you point your camera in while it's blending? It's like the most beautiful thing. It's like, right? The whole thing goes.
It's so creamy now. So what did that take me? I think 2 minutes. So creamy, so delicious. Guys, guys, it tastes like cheesecake. Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Like, isn't that insane?
My first time tasting this. That's crazy.
Right? And then
Yes.
it's really awesome. So I'm gonna blend mine a little bit more, but mine takes longer because it's a low power. Get this. So I'm gonna show this and then I'll explain afterwards. So on the low powered one, it actually takes a little bit longer. So you'll run it even for like a minute or two and it'll still like have these pieces inside. But if you keep running it, and what I usually do is like, again, and my last sauce, like you have a low powered one, you're gonna have to do a little more elbow grease. But if you just push down and go, then it goes eventually. And really, you have to work it until it gets smooth, and it will get smooth, I promise. But it's totally worth it in the end. So I'm actually gonna put this to the side, and I'll do this later, so we don't all have to like hear my crazy blender noise. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna pour. Yeah, so let's do that.
My daughter just came into the room. I want here. Okay, so give me a spoon. Give me a spoon. I'll give you to taste it.
That's so
okay, I'm not going to show her on the camera. I just want you to tell me if it tastes like cheesecake or not. This is my 18-year-old Tamima. I'm not going to put her on the camera.
Hi,
okay,
Tamima.
She's tasting it.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, done.
Okay. Okay.
That's crazy. So I pour it into the crust now?
Yeah, so you pour it into the crust. So it, like some of the recipes I saw said that you should like freeze the crust first and then put it in, but the first time I made it, I didn't do that. Totally fine either way. So yeah, just pour it in and like smooth it out. Can we see you pouring
Oh,
it?
sure. Sorry. Yep. Let me put it down.
It's so pretty, so yeah.
Right? Okay, here we go. Super creamy, super thick, gorgeous color.
Oh, okay. So someone just said instant, as in Instant Pot, now makes a very good high-speed blender for less than a Vitamix, yet close in quality. Okay, cool. I'm going to check that out. Hopefully they'll sell that here, and I will get that because I think I'm almost going to break my blender because I really do these like nuts and cashews all the time, and it's really not meant for that. But I guess once I actually break it, then I'll invest in something a little more high-powered.
This was actually on my wish list for years, and then my husband got it for me for my birthday, maybe 3-4 years ago. It was so cute because he didn't even know what I wanted, but my kids knew. So when he gave it to me, I was literally in shock because I never said I wanted it. I never told him anyway. But my kids had heard me talk about it multiple times, so they told him.
That's so funny. It's so funny. I've also gotten like kitchen like stuff gifts, like I'll say what, and I'm always like, oh my gosh, I'm such a housewife, but like I can't help it. I love, like, since I was a kid, seriously, I would go into William and Sonoma. That's still around, right?
Yes, I love that store.
I would go in and like there's something about it that like, I don't know, my soul would be on fire. Like this was before any of what I'm doing now, right? This was just something. There's like, I don't know, I believe that there's something inside of all of us that, our heart tells us that that's what we're meant to be doing. And literally as a kid, I would go into Williams Sonoma. So I think over the years I got for my birthday, I got one of those like grill pans, with the lines to grill out.
Sure.
We were still doing chicken a lot. So I would do chicken on that. That was really good. And then I got a rice cooker thing, which was like amazing. What else? There was a few stuff, but the Vitamix by far, I think that's going to have to go on my birthday. I hope if my husband hears this.
That's funny.
But I have a whole year. My birthday was in December, so less than a year now, actually. I don't even know what month we're in now.
Yeah, and for my birthday's actually on Friday, on Shabbos, this coming Shabbos.
Oh,
so
happy
for Mother's Day and birthday combo, I got a chopping bowl, a Holland Mills chopping bowl with a mezzaluna knife, and I've been loving it. Yes. So I'm sure there are women out there who don't want kitchen gadgets. That's okay, but I do, and so are you now.
Right, exactly. You know what? My husband, because I told you, like, I don't know if I told everyone else. My husband's the baker in our house. He does challah every single week, and he wants for his birthday a like electric flour sifter. In Israel, you have to sift the flour, apparently, like for kasher reasons, because there are worms inside, even though we've never actually found a worm. But you're supposed to sift it. So every Friday he like stands there with the like regular sifter sifting the flour and whatever. So he really wants an electric sifter, which I've yet to get for him. It's been like 5 years on the list. So maybe now I'll remember. So
Yeah.
it's not just the ladies.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So wow, that looks so good.
Yes, I am so happy with this.
Yeah, and I love the ridges. Like I like it not being completely flat. It's very nice.
Yeah. And the truth is that I know I'm gonna top this, so it doesn't have to be so perfect.
Right, exactly. Okay. So that is gonna go in the freezer for 6 hours. Okay. And when it comes out, it's gonna be like hard. So you really need to make sure that before you serve it, take it out like a half an hour before, maybe a little bit more. Depends how hot it is in your house or whatever. So that it'll defrost, because otherwise it'll be more like an ice cream cake, which is also cool. That's fine. But if you want it to be more like a real cheesecake, then take it out like a half an hour, 40 minutes before.
Okay. I have one question. I plan on topping it before I serve it with different colored berries. So like, you know, blackberries, strawberries, raspberries, blueberries. I'm going to make pretty something on it. So when do I do that?
I would do that after it's like slightly defrosted, because I think when it comes right out of the freezer, it might like not freeze the berries, but like whatever it is, it might make them too cold and like distort their flavor or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what you'd call that, but like yeah.
Okay.
So I would do that. Yeah.
Like so, let it sit out. So while maybe when we sit down to eat or wash or in the middle of the meal, I'll take it out, and then I guess it'll defrost enough that the berries I'll be able to push them in. So they'll like not slide all over.
Right. And actually the truth is what I did is after 6 hours, I took it out and then I just kept it in the fridge. So you could actually just top it and keep it in the fridge. It depends on what you like. So I personally liked it like exactly the half an hour after it came out of the freezer, because it was very firm. And I liked that. It was very cold and a little firm. But when it sat in the fridge for a little bit, it was more like cheesecakey. Like it was less ice cream. So it depends on like what you like.
I'm not even sure what I like, but we will play with it.
Oh, you'll play with it, exactly.
Yes.
Okay, so you're gonna put that in the freezer, and then.
Okay. Well, it has to go in my basement freezer, so we'll do that soon. Should I put Saran wrap on it before it goes in the freezer?
Yes, you should cover it with tin foil.
Oh, foil. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that.
So, I actually have like our before and after. So, okay. So I actually, TV Magic, I have our before and after. So this is like after it's finished. The last one that I made, I didn't have to run it with a knife, but I'm going to run it through with a knife just to make sure. This is a new, like cake pan thing. The other one was an older one. For whatever reason, it seemed like it didn't really stick to the sides. This one seems like it is, but that's okay. I'm just running it through with a knife, which is what we do in many cases with cakes. And we're going to get a little taste. It's so good. And so I'm going to open it up. Voila. Okay. So we've got our crust. We got our cake here. So I actually like, we talked about this, right? I like a nice, like, thick cheesecake. So I might even, next time I do it, double the top recipe, like we talked about, just so we can get a nice, like, thicker thing. But it's actually really beautiful when we cut it. I'm going to see if I have a serving plate that we can put on and make it nice.
I just have to tell you that is stunning. Stunning, stunning, stunning. It's cheesecake dreams. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. I actually made on Thursday when we were talking, and like we ate it all Shabbos, like my kids, we finished the whole thing, and it was this size one. Like you see the difference. This is like, I don't know what it is, but it's like smaller than this one. and we ate a whole size of this, like me and my three, me, my husband, my three children in one Shabbos. It was so good. So you could also like pull off. So if you see this, you can actually pull off the bottom. I'm like a little scared to do this live, but I think what I did is I just pulled it here. Oh, voila.
Wow, it worked.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm so scared with cakes. Like, you never know. I'm like, I have the worst luck. So we didn't decorate this one. So you said you're going to do it berries, right?
Yes, I think I'm going to do fresh berries. I was thinking of maybe some sort of like crumbs, but I'm not sure. I don't know. Or chocolate shavings. That sounds good.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm going to do this live because I'm too scared. But I actually made this caramel, and it's actually out of sweet potato. So if Dan is on the show, it's really funny. I don't know if you've noticed when like you bake sweet potato and like you let it get browned and caramelized like on the side.
Yes.
A lot of times the liquid like comes up and it's like caramel, right? I don't know if you like, have you seen that?
I love that. That's how I know my sweet potatoes are done, actually.
Exactly. So I was like, wait a second, like, can I make candy out of this? Like, what can I do? Like, can I do that on purpose and not just a little bit? So I actually posted it in my Facebook group, the Veg Out Kosher, and Dan did a quick Google, which I could have done also, but anyway. So Dan Schumann, who I did the cooking show with last week, he did a quick Google and he found that you can actually make caramel out of sweet potato. There's no sugar added. It's literally just sweet potato water. So you cook sweet potatoes in the oven and then with water, and then you put them in like a cheesecloth and you squeeze out the liquids from the sweet potato. And then you just, like the same way you would do caramel with sugar, you put it in a frying pan and just the water from the sweet potato actually, becomes caramel. This is definitely not healthy, like just because, right? Gila, you can tell us also.
Yeah, we should talk about that, guys. I believe in balance in all things. And in order to live a healthy lifestyle and be a healthy person, not every single thing we eat has to be 100% healthy. Totally not my philosophy. Now's a very good time to tell you that I already bought, and it's in my freezer, a regular cheesecake. I told you, I started by saying I am very honest. So I have I have 5 children, Kainara, and 2 of my girls are non-celiac, gluten sensitive, and dairy free. So what that means is they don't eat dairy or gluten, because if they do, it hurts their stomach terribly. So they weren't going to eat that, but I do have a whole bunch of other children who really, really do like regular cheesecake. So why would I deprive them, right? So that's really my philosophy. I like serving real food with better for you ingredients. And then sometimes we have ice cream, or we go to Rita's, or we have regular cheesecake, or we have pizza and whatever else. And it's all about finding a balance that works for you and make sure that you feel good. And if you feel good, then that's all that matters. That's fantastic. So I'm not all about eliminating, especially not with kids. So I find that with kids, if you take away all the good stuff, that's all they want. So,
oh my gosh, I think I had to learn that the hard way for the first few years of my kids' lives. It took a long time to get back to like a normal. It's so true.
Yes. Yeah. So I do believe in the theory of crowding out, which means that if you, like, for instance, because we're home and nobody was in shul, these past few Shabbosim, they eat breakfast whenever, but then they get hungry before lunch. So what I started doing is putting out cut up platter of vegetables, celery, cucumber, carrots, tomatoes, whatever I have. Every week it's different. And they nosh on it. So that doesn't mean they're not allowed to have potato chips and chocolate and ice cream. It means that without fail, if I put out the cut up fruit, cut up vegetable, they gravitate towards it and they eat it. Now, in the middle of the afternoon, did they ask for salsa and tortilla chips? Yes, they did. And yes, they ate them. And that's fantastic. And I tried something new this week, which was super, super cool. Because they ate so many of the cut up vegetables, I experimented, and for our Shabbos lunch salad, I did 2 different types of greens. I did pea shoots and baby mixed greens, and I didn't add any other vegetables, only because they had just eaten plate after plate of cut up multicolored rainbow vegetables. Let me tell you, devoured. Mommy, do you have more? Mommy, this was so good. I never do that. I always do greens plus vegetables. So this is our new thing. I made a quick balsamic vinaigrette. It went really well with the greens, and they loved it. So new thing going.
That's amazing, and I'm so with you also. Like during Corona especially, but like always, I do that like Friday, like Saturday morning, Shabbos morning when I wake up. You know, they want cereal, they have cereal and milk. We try to do the like very, like we do every other week. We have cornflakes. The cornflakes here is like, they've actually reduced the amount of sugar to be very low because there are new laws in Israel about how much sugar, and if you have too much sugar, there's a sign on it saying how much sugar it is. So we'll do once in a while. So they'll get to have cereal, and then, but I also like, as they're eating, I'll cut up a plate of fruits and vegetables, and it's not even like I say, come and eat it. They go and play, they come and take. They go and play, they come and take. And it's just like sort of this, you know, I don't have to force it on them. And exactly, like also my younger children, they don't always sit at the meal. And like, they're not, you know, I want them to sit and eat. I want them to finish their, you know, plate. But I know I don't want to say that to them because I know that I want them to, you know, decide when they're full or decide when they're hungry or whatever it is. So I don't want to be nagging, but at the same time, like, you're going to finish the meal. And then, you know, 20 minutes later, I'm going to say, I'm hungry. And then it's so frustrating.
That's the worst. Yes.
So I know at least that if before the meal, exactly what you're saying, they had a plate of fruits and vegetables. Fine. So they didn't eat the lasagna that I made or whatever the meal was, a cooked meal. They still got the nutrients that they needed. They're happy, and they'll have that in the afternoon also. Like I'm totally with what you're talking about. It's amazing. So, but in any case, even though about healthy or not healthy, I know that this is not, but I could have just gotten regular caramel. The reason why I wanted to do this is because I have a fascination. I mean, my brand's called Veg It Out. Like, I really have a fascination of taking plants and vegetables and turning them into something else or making as much as possible from plants. So the fact that I was able to take a sweet potato, which is sweet, and then take out its liquids and create a caramel out of that instead of just buying a store-bought caramel or taking white processed sugar and turning that into caramel. I just found that so cool. But again, it was like 3 sweet potatoes, and I got, I don't know, maybe a fourth of a cup of caramel. So I will not be doing it again, but I just found it really cool and I wanted to share it.
Well, I have to tell you that I think it's a creative idea, and I love that you take vegetables and fruit and turn them into other things. What's impressive to me about that is even though I do believe in balance, and even though my kids eat ice cream and regular cheesecake and other things, I do think that the phytonutrients, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals that are found in colored fruits and vegetables, we need them, and we can't get them from ice cream and chocolate and candy. And that's why I try to create a balance in my home and with my clients and with my students and my followers, everybody I try to teach, you need the balance. So enjoy your fruits and vegetables and only eat what you like. If you don't like something, then don't eat it, right? If you don't like Brussels sprouts, you don't like broccoli, there are so many other green vegetables that you can choose. And that goes for every color of the rainbow. So find what you do like. When it comes to kids, I always have people say to me, they're picky, they don't like this, they don't like that. So I found it's very, very helpful if you bring the kids along with the process. So I don't know, my kids haven't gone to the supermarket since this whole thing started, but once they can come to the supermarket again, if you say to them, you can choose a red fruit or vegetable, you know, pick one, look at all the options, get them involved and have them help you in the kitchen. My youngest is 9 and he's been helping me since he's very, very, very little. I'll never forget the shock on this guest's face. He was sitting at the table on a Shabbos lunch years ago, and he says to this woman, "Excuse me, can you please pass the salad that I made?" He must have been 3. And her mouth fell open. When the kids are involved in the shopping, cooking, prepping, chopping process, they are more likely to want to eat it and enjoy it.
Totally. I haven't had sprouts in our house. Maybe I bought once or twice. My husband doesn't like them. If I put them in salads, he didn't like them. Fine. And then so I just didn't buy them. So my kids were never exposed. One time we bought, I tried to put them in the salad. No one touched it. They're in a nature club in school, which is the coolest thing ever. Like, I'm obsessed with their club. They come home with so much information and everything. And their teacher basically taught them how to sprout. I think they're mung beans, like green. I don't remember what they're called in English. They're called musht in Hebrew. I think they're mung beans.
Yeah, I've heard of mung beans.
Yeah, and she taught them how to sprout them. So they've been like watering these beans and sprouts. And I came home, they were ready today, and I was like, okay, guys, you know, maybe we'll make a salad from it. And they were happening to be with a babysitter today. I was working, and I came home, and like they had taken all of them out. They cut off the stems. They made a salad out of it, and they were eating it. And it's like, if I would have bought that from the store, they would have been like, ew, what is this alien? Like, that's
exactly.
So cool. So cool. Okay, so I'm going to actually go ahead and cut this while we have you on camera. Again, I'm really afraid to do these kinds of demonstrations, but I've done this before, so I know that it comes out good. Okay, so I'm just going to cut it here. I think I probably need like one of those really big, like, killer, like, slash movie knives. Hold on one second. Sorry, I'm a little bit off screen. By the way, if anyone has any questions.
Yes, now's a good time. Before we time out, I want to say that it was so great having me, and thank you. And if you guys liked what we did here today, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook for more good stuff.
Okay, here we go. You're so good. Last time Dan and I like timed out. Can you check that out?
Stunning, stunning. I am super impressed, Bela. Wow.
Tell me that's not, like, that does not look vegan. That looks
perfection.
Like cheesecake.
No.
That looks like straight up cheesecake. So yeah, I would want to do like a chocolate layer on top, or like blueberries or something. You really could do anything because it's just the base, and you can add another layer of like even chocolate pudding or whatever it is. And like I said, like I did a vegan cheesecake last year because when I have regular cheesecake, it just hurts my stomach. So besides the fact that I want to eat more plant-based, I would eat on Shavuot, I would eat regular cheesecake, but it kills it. Like I can't even, it like really kills me. So I tried, didn't come out great, but this is amazing, and I'm so excited to have this. I'm gonna have to plate it.
Somebody asked what size. So the recipe calls for 8-inch rounds, and that's what I used, an 8-inch round springform pan.
Oh yeah, that would be good. I'm gonna put this on a plate and try some. So Gila, yours is not ready yet, right? So we can
no, I'm gonna put mine in the freezer, and oh, they look gorgeous.
So you're just gonna like vicariously taste this.
Yes, I am.
So what do I say? The whole Shabbos, my kids are like, what bracha do I say? What bracha do I say? So it's just shakol because there's no gluten inside, and like it's totally blended and everything. So
amen.
So good. This one's still a little bit cold from the freezer. I love it like that. I like a little bit more stiff. So this is like perfect for me. Once it's in the freezer, it's softer, and I think it's great also, but I like the bite to it. So
amazing. Someone asked if we're going to post the recipe. Yes, of course we are. We are going to share the recipe with you on our pages. Check it out, Veg It Out, and at Coach Gila Approved, you will find the recipe with the instructions. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for having me, Bela.
Well, this is so fun. We have to do this again.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it very much.
Amazing. Okay. Bye.
Take care, everyone. All the best.
Bye-bye.